If you want to close more sales with better clients, then you need to ask better questions. This will help you with the leads that you do get and ensure that you're a good fit for working together. So I'm going to give you 7 of the questions that I like to ask, and you could just read this in a list, but it's going to be more helpful to hear my commentary on why I asked this question. So if you really push for time, then just watch this on 2 speed. Now, before I get into a call, when I ask the client, these questions, I like to set expectations before. This avoids time wasting, and that has to be around availability and budget. Give them some idea of what it's going to be like working with you. So let's say you're a small web design agency from Canada. You could say something like, we're currently booking projects from September, and our minimum level of engagement is $5,000, but most projects tend to fall in the $10,000 to $25,000 range. So if they want something yesterday and they've only got $2,000, they know you're not the right guys for them. So what you don't want is have the whole agency preparing a written proposal, or maybe you're in a meeting with them for an hour, driving across town, or jumping on a video call. Waste of time. So set those expectations up front. Then when you get on the call, ask these questions because they will help you and they will help the client. And as you show them that you're helping them, that will help build trust between the two of you. So number 1, tell me about your business. I like to open with just a really general question, a really soft question. You don't want them to feel like they're being interrogated or like this is a test. It needs to be an easy conversation. So tell me about your business, or perhaps if it's a big business and they're pulling you in for something in particular, tell me about your project. And just let them talk and see what's important to them. See the things that they initially bring up. That's going to give you a lot of clues to what's at the top of their mind. And then you want to follow that up with some more specific detail around the things that are relevant to you. So number 2, something like, how are things done at present? So we're thinking about design, or we're thinking about whatever the thing is that you offer. If you're a photographer, ask them, what photography are you using at the moment? Or if you are a web designer, you want to ask them, who maintains your website at the moment? Who updates it? Who keeps it going? And get some idea of their processes. Do they have an internal marketing team that handle things? Do they have an internal set of designers? Have they used external agencies and they're looking for a new one now, or thinking about a change? Or is the owner doing everything? So getting an idea of how things work will help you understand what level they're at, and it will help you appreciate what you might need to offer and what you can specifically help them with, and make sure it's something that's going to slot in with where they're at and where they want to be. And number 3, how did your last design experience go? So this might come up, but I encourage you to directly ask it. Have they worked with a designer before? If they haven't, you're going to have to educate them on your process. If they have, you're going to have to educate them on your process, because either way, they might have, no expectation really, or no understanding of what it's like to work with a designer. Or if they have worked with a designer, they might think it's going to be the same. But you need to make sure that they understand your way of working up front, so that we don't have any surprises along the way. Well, I thought there was going to be this many revisions, or I thought I was going to be able to input into this, or I thought I'd have this many options. If that's not something that you do, or maybe you take longer, or you deliver things quicker than somebody else, it's good to explain that. But let them answer the question first. How did your last design experience go? How they speak about other people is really key. Are they respectful? Because if they're not, that's obviously a red flag. Don't be flattered as if, the designer they've worked before is obviously terrible compared to me. They've come to me because they recognize my work is just fantastic and it must be much better than this other person. No, if they're slagging off some other designer, that might actually be a red flag that they don't have realistic expectations or know how to work well with the designer. So you've at least got to be aware of that if you are going to work with them. Nextly, number 4, how will customers find you? Now, as designers, depending on your particular function and what you do, you may not be directly influenced or involved in marketing, but these things are often linked. A website is the main home for marketing efforts, or maybe where customers are sent. And there may be a lot of other opportunities as to help them with things like advertising, social media, and all the artwork that is required. So asking how customers find you really puts them in the mentality of, yes, this is why we're here. You want to market to marketers, sell to people who want to sell. If they have that motivation, they're going to be much more passionate about working with you and wanting to see the results and the fruit of it. So by asking how will customers find you, or how do customers find you, you can identify gaps in their marketing strategy or things that you're able to help them with that they maybe haven't asked you about, but there's a possibility to extend or give them options for a wider proposal than what they've talked to you about. Number 5, by working with me, what's the problem you're trying to solve or benefit you're trying to gain? So again, this is helping the client get in the right frame of mind to remember that what you are offering is something of real value. It's going to solve a genuine problem in their business, or it's going to give a benefit to help them move forward. You don't want to work with people who don't have real problems to solve or genuine goals that they're reaching for. They're not going to be motivated, they're not going to be disciplined, and you're going to struggle to move that project along. So look for these kind of people. And it really helps you as well, because as you're listening to that, you're becoming aware clearly of their goals, so you can make sure that you're delivering towards the aims of the project and everybody's happy. 2 more. Number 6, if we were having this discussion 3 years from today and you were looking back over those 3 years, what has to have happened for you to feel happy with your progress? That was a bit of a mouthful. So we're looking back 3 years. What has to have happened? This again puts the client in that place of dreaming, of envisaging, of looking to the future and realizing that, yeah, actually this website is really important because we've got big goals for our business, or there are specific things that we need to hit. And so we need to get this project right. So we need to work with a professional, not an amateur. So when you send in that proposal and you're charging a good market rate for what you're doing and being paid fairly, they can very much justify that because it's linked to the vision, the future of their business. And again, it's helping you align more to their goals. And sometimes when you ask them about a problem they're trying to solve, they might be thinking very short term. Oh, we've got an event coming up in 2 months. But as you link them over to the 3 years, you help them to see that larger trajectory. And finally, number 7, what's the deadline and when would you be ready to start? So you've given them some idea about when you'll be ready to start, but you need to know the same from them. If people say things like the deadline is ASAP, that's not a good sign. It's not specific. How do you think their feedback on your design work is going to be? Not specific. So that's going to be a mess that you'll get into. So you want people who can speak clearly and be precise in their speech and their decision making and being professional. So having realistic deadlines helps with that. Deadlines need to be realistic too. ASAP is not realistic. And then when would you be ready to start? So if they say, well, we're just kind of talking to a few people at the moment, they're a tire kicker. They are not a serious buyer. Someone who is ready to start, they have it in place. They have the funds in place. They have their information in place. Maybe you've got to ask them to provide some specific resources and such, but they'll be able to get that together in a timely manner. That's a professional client. That's the kind of client that you want to work with. As you wrap up this call, you want to talk about deliverables. Just align on that and be aware of some of the things you're offering. Maybe you're offering option A, B, and C with more deliverables as you progress through. It might not just be a website. You might also be able to develop that as an e-commerce site. You might want to advise on their social media and provide some graphics for that, or whatever you do. But give them some idea of deliverables, talk it back and forth with them so that when they get the proposal, it's what they expect. And tell them what's happening next. Tell them that you're going to send a proposal by the end of the week. and what's going to be in it and what you would expect them to do to get back to you. Those next steps are really clear. And if you keep leading people along a journey, giving that really simple next step, that really helps close sales. It really helps them get over the line because people aren't wondering what's happening. You're giving them something to say yes to. There's loads more questions you could ask. I could have shared like 100 with you, but you don't want to make these meetings too long, so that's why I just picked out 7. But if you have a favorite question to ask, drop it down in the comments and help your fellow viewers down there. Until next time, happy designing.